Very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.
And I'm Kaido Kikilo. It's Tuesday, September the 2nd. And you're welcome to your perfect day starter. Well, it's quite interesting. Again, the politics we're seeing playing out within the PDP in Rivers State. And you know, big stories from there. First, the local government chairman that were elected on Saturday have been sworn in Rivers State. That is 20 of them of the APC, 3 of them of the PDP. That's if you're sticking to, you know, party affiliations and all of that. But some say they're all in the same. They're one in that sense. So you see the sole administrator shaking hands with them yesterday. And eventually they were sworn in. They took the oath of office. And Jeffrey, the episode just keeps going on and on. There's more, well, I call it the series now. There's more episode as the day goes by. But it looks like a lot of people are counting down to September the 18th, which is just 16 days to go when the state of emergency or the emergency rule in Rivers State is expected to be called off.
Interesting days ahead. We call it the conundrum of absurdities that play out in Rivers politics. From the more you talk about Rivers State, the more confusing it is because of how things got here in the first place. So it's like the difficulty in putting something on something and then on something, another something, in terms of legality. So there's a difficulty of accepting the president's powers or ultra vires to be able to suspend elected officials of government, House of Assembly members, and of course the governor and his deputy. That in itself is seen as a breach of the Constitution. The president doesn't have that stretch because the Constitution says 4 ways the governor can leave office. He resigns, his tenure ends, he's impeached, or death if that's the sad incident that occurs. So that's how the things play out. Well, the Constitution also gives the president the powers to declare a state of emergency anywhere based on set parameters, extraordinary powers. But the latitude of that extraordinary power, the discretional latitude, is what is debatable. And which is why I'm personally, as a journalist, I'm quite sad that the Supreme Court has not sat on that case and made a final pronouncement once and for all, so that this will not be a conversation ever again as far as this is concerned. Because the first time we went to Supreme Court, local standard was what knocked it off. Now it's in the Supreme Court, everywhere just went cold and quiet. So there's something really wrong with the entire system. So every other thing this sole administrator is doing is seen as unconstitutional. It's not known to law by any stretch of imagination. So now he's conducted an election. So for instance, this exercise is conducting according to the law, the Rivers State Local Government Administration law and every other law in Nigeria. It's supposed to be done by the governor. So by what powers is he doing? Yes, on Wiki, the FCT minister has argued about the stretch of the emergency powers of the president. Yes, the stretch of those emergency powers doesn't include things like removing the governor. That is where the problem is. I just hope this will be tested in court. I know that issue is also before a court of competent jurisdiction. And now the debate over, I heard him talk about the court could not stop the election. Yes, the court can't stop elections like that. Because Section 8415 of the Electoral Act says so. Even primaries cannot be stopped by any court as long as the process has been put in motion. See, the last election in Rivers that was cancelled. There was also a court judgment stopping that election, but it went on before it was eventually nullified according to the rule of law. So we hope is because the precedent that Rivers State politics is setting is very disturbing and dangerous. And I'm talking about the whole process. They can do their politics, Fubara and Wike. They are all politicians. They can choose to do however they want. That's really none of our business. Our business is the rule of law. Our business is a process. People are saying, oh, when Fubara was running the state with 3 lawmakers, people did not talk. People talked. Because if you know the law, Governor Fubara then, now suspended, doesn't even have the powers to say 4 lawmakers, or the 26 lawmakers, I don't recognize you. There's no such, he doesn't have that power. As a matter of fact, if you win an election as a member of the parliament, whether as a state assembly or national assembly, if the speaker or the Senate president doesn't swear you in, you're not a member. He's the one that can swear you. As soon as you're sworn in, you're a member. If he doesn't swear you in for the 4 years or whatever time, you are not a member of that house. And it's still the speaker that has the power to say, you are now a member, but you are no longer a member by declaring your seat vacant based on parameters. So there was a lot of recklessness on all sides, both on the Fubara end, on the Wiki end, and this cannot be a template for democracy. So we hope it's going to be challenged in court. We hope the Supreme Court will bolden up to speak on the issue of the powers of the president to whether or not can suspend elected government official like the speaker, like the members of the House of Assembly or a governor of a state, which is even further protected, even when the assembly is not seated according to Section 11, subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic. That's even a ground norm. So there's a lot of legal landmine. So, you know, the way this thing works, the politicians that are beneficiaries to this thing, they'll say everything is fine. What do I expect you to say? The ones that are not beneficiaries will say everything is wrong. What do I expect you to say? But let's look at the rule of law. Let's look at what the law says. Let's look at the process. That's what we're talking about. We can't build democracy like this. When things go south, this is how we trace the origin. So what is going on in the River State, I don't care about its politics. The rule of law is what is important. I hope it to be challenged, and let's see the outcome.
Well, the future would be a very good thing, really, because we can talk about what someone did, what someone else did, but the law is always the law. Yeah, and hey, don't worry, we'll always get there. But while this happened in Abuja late yesterday or later yesterday, there was, or rather, this happened in Port Harcourt, River State. Later in the day, there was a major meeting in Abuja, the nation's capital, and this meeting was chaired by the FCT minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike. Well, Jeffrey, this meeting is called Concerned PDP Stakeholders.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to politics, give it to Nyesom Wike. He plays his politics with 10 steps ahead. He knows there's trouble coming, so he's trying to make sure that he puts his own acts together, you know, all his lieutenants, all his loyalists. PDP still has a long way to go. But PDP, I don't know what they want to do with Nyesom Wike. That's entirely their kettle of fish. We're just commentators and all of that. So he had a meeting yesterday with concerned PDP leaders or members, and he has some serious people there, people that can actually upset the entire thing. Would I use the word upset or cause trouble for the PDP? First, most important that is seated with him or that was in that meeting is a man in white that you're seeing right now on your screen, Sam Anyanwu. That's the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party. That's the man that when you get your nomination form, your expression of interest form, he will sign on that form with the no longer acting chairman, the substantive chairman of the PDP, which is Ilia Damagun. If Sam Anyanwu doesn't sign, then there is trouble for anyone, because that in itself can lead to trouble itself. That's why you see the PDP is racing to do a convention in Ibadan to make sure that they clean out this set, because as far as what we have seen, this NWC is the most disorganized, most I don't know, coming at each other's in the recent days. One way, Debo Ologu Agba is saying another thing, Damagun will fire another way, Deputy National Publicity will say something, National Secretary will say another thing. So, but now they seem to have gotten a bit of a direction. So what will happen in the PDP is like insider spoilers, maybe led by Nyesom Wike.
Jeffrey, I must tell you that they had resolutions from that meeting.
Which meeting?
This meeting. There are resolutions they came up with.
They always have a resolution.
Let me tell you some of the resolutions. Yeah. So they demanded that for a smooth running of the national convention, there should be no form of micro-zoning of the party's presidential ticket, which means no saying it's going to southeast, southwest,
all
south,
of that.
south.
We know we started that.
That remain south. That's one. They also demanded immediate conduct of Ekiti State LGA Congress in accordance with the subsistent court judgment fresh and legitimate Southeast Zonal Congress should be conducted. They also demanded that the National Working Committee conduct fresh congresses in Ebonyi and Anambra states and adopt a congress held in Calabar, Cross River, as declared by the court. That communique was read by a former governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, and it said, Jeffrey, that failure to comply with the resolutions and demands shall render any purported national convention invalid, as legitimate members of a party will be disenfranchised. So there you have it.
Why that is important is to the fact that National Secretary who is going to sign off on that national convention is a crony. Oh, let me use a better word now. He's an ally. He's an ally of Nyesom Wike. So all of this demand is, there are three people that will be perhaps almost four. That will be the high flyers in the next election. Bola Tinubu, the president. Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and maybe Robi Ukwankwaso. So perhaps what I see going on now is what I call tactical immobilization of every formidable threat to maybe President Bola Tinubu. And Wike is doing his work as an insider to make sure that doesn't go. So when you say, no, it is this same no micro zoning that led, I think, Peter Obi out of the PDP. Because when they say come to the south, they said, okay, if for equity and fairness, it's only natural that it goes to the southeast, who has not produced president since after the early days of independence. And well, people like, yes, Wike fought it because he has his own ambition. And eventually, he came second in that exercise. So this time, we are hearing that PDP is trying to talk with people like Peter Obi, former President Goodluck Jonathan. So that is why they're already sending the signal to say no microzoning, because Peter Obi is likely going to be a candidate of the party if that happens eventually. So all of this, well, for me, I like the interplay. Everybody's playing their politics. Our job is just to look at it and analyze and look at the
Definitely. So we'll see how it plays out within the PDP, because you wonder what will then happen if Mr. Nyesom Wike is saying, let's do it like this in the PDP, and he said that, well, I'm going with President Bola Tinubu. Very interesting. Is
that not even confusing, Kayode? Well, doesn't that confuse you?
Obviously, to them, it's not confusing.
I don't even know.
They look like we know what we're
doing. Do you know what really rational thinking people are looking at? If the PDP listens to Nyesom Wike, they are not a serious party. No, it's as simple as that.
The national secretary is in that meeting already.
No, they have
to look. That even the chairman is an ally.
They have to look for a way.
So whichever way you look at it, they are listening to him. So whether they have to look for a way,
they have to look for a way to avoid him
entirely.
Because he's working for the president and he's dictating how you want to run the party of the PDP. What
times.
What kind of funny politics is that? It's not a joke. It's
interesting times, Jeffrey. We must also mention the incident that happened aboard the Enugu Air flight just before takeoff. We understand that an unruly passenger was deboarded. So this is just barely a month after the case concerning Comfort Emanson. You recall then Quam 1, and now people are calling this, I don't know where people get these tags from, but they're saying this is Quam 3. So we understand that this unruly passenger had to be deboarded for some reason. Now we're yet to get an official statement from either Enugu Air or the NCAA, but that's the moment that male passenger was taken off the Enugu Air flight. In fact, he had to be dragged at some point. It's still not clear, so we'll just wait to get the official account from the airline and the NCAA. Mr. Michael Chimogo, the spokesperson, had retweeted the post concerning this, but he has not spoken about what happened. So we'll wait to find out about that. He's still speaking a lot about turning off your mobile phones and all of that. There's still a lot of debate around that. So we'll just wait for this morning, get you the official account, and let you have it. But that's the moment that passenger was taken off the Enugu aircraft, and it took like 6 men plus to get him off that aircraft.
I think the airport security needs to look for a way to manage things like this. For instance, if they, look, I know what they call it, I think that the Miranda rights, when police wants to arrest you, they say you have a right to remain silent, blah, 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 all of the things. And then when they read all of that, it's just to show you what you're entitled to, that even if they say good morning, you have a right to say you not to reply because your right to silence is protected in law. Now, when they read all of that, their next line of action will now be legal under the law. So I'm feeling that since like this, rather than suffer themselves as security agencies, maybe read something to them. Say, if you don't want to move, we have the option of tasing you, we have the option of handcuffing you. Because if they handcuff him, it's not going to be, you know, I don't know what the situation is. I don't know the details of this. So I'm just saying the whole back and forth between security agencies and the passenger. If you just, there are so many men there, and maybe they should employ some of these bouncer-looking people that we see at clubs, that when you see them, you have to make up your mind on where your destiny lies. Because when you have seen somebody like that before, and you are telling yourself, don't even start anything, because only one person can deal with 5 people. All those kind of men should be employed. Let's go and get those bouncers at clubs to come and be at this airport. When you see 3 come before you, you will humble yourself. It's either you choose to move peacefully, or they will handcuff you, or they will tase you, so that we don't see all this drama. For your own safety as well. I'm not saying the man was right or wrong. I'm just saying to avoid things like embarrassing situations where people will now get their body exposed, get injured, and all of that. To protect their dignity as well, just move them out if those options are legal and is medically acceptable, so that you don't go and take somebody out of this life eventually.
So there you have it. Very interesting suggestions from Jeffrey, but we'll see how that plays out.
Maybe I would tweet it to the Honorable Minister Festus Keyamo and say, please, we need bouncers at the airport. We need those big-sized guys.
So we'll wait on NCA and Enugu Air to get a full account of what played out. But aviation security is very important, one of the most regulated sectors, certainly, and it's a no-brainer. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll bring you how the front pages are reporting the big stories in a moment. Stay with us. Mr. Adeni Ifetayo joins us live in the studio as we walk through the front pages this morning. Mr. Ifetayo, good morning.
Good morning.
Always good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Big stories. I know the PDP Rivers matter will hog the headlines, but let's start off with the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune leads with something from the FCT minister. So yes, I guess it was correct after all. Obi will destroy PDP if he returns to party. Says politicians pushing Jonathan to contest in 2027 betrayed him in 2015. And he also adds, Tinubu will win next election. I should mention that this next election we're talking about, it's not next year. It is in 2 years' time. You almost think it is, in fact, in a few weeks' time. So what do you make of this? The FCT minister's work rate is mind-blowing. Had a major interview in the morning. In fact, he was in Rivers State over the weekend, voting, mobilizing, doing all of that, ensuring a win for both parties, to which he belongs officially and unofficially.
No, let's put it to all his men in both parties.
There you go.
Yeah, so let's stop saying things like they are all his men, both in APC
So
and PDP.
the parties he belongs to officially and unofficially.
We have to give him that credit.
Then he's back in the nation's capital with the projects, the interviews, and now he's hosting a meeting again just late last night with those described as PDP stakeholders. So it's a lot playing out in the PDP, but what do you make of this? First, Obi will destroy PDP if he returns to party on the one hand, and later in the night saying, do not microzone these things, leave it at the south. And then you remember that he's going to work for President Tinubu.
All right, 2 things for me. First and foremost, saying that Obi will destroy PDP if he returns. You know, election is a game of numbers. The more you have people on your side, at least, the more likely that you have chances of winning. And, you know, I stand to be correct. I know there was a time FCT minister said that when they were asking him, will you go to APC, that he said that it's better to have a malaria than to go to a party that have cancer.
I was in Port Harcourt those periods.
So you can see, and Nigeria is very norm for us, especially for our politicians, so to say, that to cross carpet day before election or month before election and all of this. So saying that if we disrupt, of course, it's just doing the bidding of his paymaster, because at least he has to do his job. So, and also those, of course, those people who said that Jonathan should contest, some of them are those people who betrayed him. They felt that, okay, no, you've done enough. They work for the opposition. It is like this happened. So it's not surprising, but saying because one person will come to this party, you will be the one to say you don't want both the presidential ticket and national party to zone to a particular region. Now they have done it again, and you are saying that if somebody should come to this region, it's going to, no, all those one is just doing the bidding of his master. So I don't see anything that election is a game of numbers. So
it's nothing personal, it's just politics.
It's just politics that is playing out.
You know, as far as this election is concerned, we look at elections based on numbers.
Numbers, yes.
And the numbers in the immediate term we're looking at is Bola Tinubu, our president's 8.7. Atiku Abubakar 6.9. Obi's 6.1. And Kwankwaso's 1.4. All in millions. That eventually was the highlight of the last election. So you can understand the politics that people like our dear friend Yeson Wike is playing, because he knows where things can upturn. So it's for the people who are working with him to know how to play their own politics. So sometimes you don't have to blame the man for knowing his game.
Of course, yes, you can give it to him, yes.
Let's go to the Vanguard newspaper. Jonathan to Keyamo Odinkalo, keep off my political journey. Says, keep off my political, I don't need your counsel. I think this was coming from his brother, not directly from him, if what I read is correct. Jonathan, 100% qualified for race, says Azibola, ex-president's cousin. He's being deceived, fielding Obi's spell doom for PDP. That's according to Wike. Adds, I won't run for president. And there's several other riders from other related subject matter as far as the issue of the 2027 election. So, as I always say, there's a lot of political hot air going on right now. What do you make of this boom?
Yes, of course, because since PDP has zoned their presidential ticket to the south, you know, even sometimes we've had it in this country, even when you're in your room, suddenly some of those sycophants in quote, they put up your poster, Kayode for presidency.
I'm voting. I vote.
So all those things is bound to happen, of course, and he have right to contest. I'm sure it was disputed before the last election, where whether he has right to vote, talking about two tenure or another section of the constitution saying you can only be sworn in 2 times and all of that. That one has been dealt with. So saying that it will cause a litigation in the courts, so that one is left for him, and I think it's been dealt with. But because of this now, of course, he has his right to contest and his right not to contest, but you can't dictate for him. You can't be more Catholic than a pope. Let's hear from him if he's going to run or not.
Let's hear from him. In fact, that's the statement, or the post, I should say, by the lawyer and the activist said that this is not a confirmation. In fact, that was the last statement. That, by the way, this is not a confirmation that I will run. So can we say this is Jonathan to Keyamo and Odinkalo, or this is just from a family member, a concerned advisor? In the meantime, let's move on to New Telegraph. New Telegraph leads with something that touches on Nigeria's foreign missions. And this is from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, saying that Nigeria's foreign missions facing financial challenges. Says many unable to fulfill obligations to local staff, service providers. U.S. Embassy in Abuja, Lagos observed Labor Day shut consulates. That's how New Telegraph reads this morning. So amidst all of this is the concerns around appointing an ambassador or not has lingered. It's 2 years plus now, and we don't have any of such. If this is a strategy, I mean, we don't know if this is just some sort of fix that the government is in, but does this maybe provide an insight for you? By the way, I've been to some of these missions, and I must say that they're always welcoming, very hospitable, but it won't look good if we're facing financial challenges.
Yeah, well, anyway, I think when they are making a budget, at least both internal and external factors are considered. So if a minister is saying that Nigerian mission abroad, they are facing financial challenges, I think it's something that they need to stand up and deal with, because it will be dealing a lot of blow with Nigerians over there, or who wants to do one or two things back at home or in those countries. So you can understand like what happened recently between when they say this is what we say we have signed with the Dubai, when they said that Dubai will now begin to give Nigerian visas and all of that, that the thing had been reversed, and they come out and say nothing of such until now. Even now, Turkey, as a Nigerian, you can't get a visa. In fact, it's not opening. So when you cannot make your obligation locally in those countries, how are you going to be able to provide services for example, the foreign investor that want to come in, or the Nigerian who are looking for partners, you know, to collaborate and all of that. So it's doing major blow to us. And I think one of the ministry that should be looking to for us to have that brand visibility is our Foreign Affairs Ministry, which deals with our foreign mission. And they should do something about it, because it will be demarketing us back at home.
This issue around not appointing ambassadors, I don't know. We'll definitely get to the end of it. But let's stay with the New Telegraph, where Vindicator says FG has finished courts, jailed Simon Ekpa 6 years for terrorism. It's page 4, 5, 6, and 27 read. Fagbemi Mahmood, MBA Hill, conviction. Ekpa not a member, IPOP. Are you surprised? What's going on? Finally, they caught him.
Yes, because no matter how, they said, no matter how you may cover a smoke, definitely it will have a way of us. If you've been doing something and people are praising you, Yoruba say, whatever you yes, whatever you felt that you are doing, you are, getting away with it. A day, something will caught up with you that you pay dearly for it. So if he has made some statements that have caused violence, people, shutting down the economy, on Monday you don't go to work and all of that. So, and if international community say, you can't do that here. So, and I think it's a good one for and to serve as a deterrent, that no matter where you may be trying to destroy or put fire at home, or hiding under the pretense I'm a this country citizen because I have 2 passports, definitely the hand of the law will caught up with you. It's a good one.
Okay, let's go to the Guardian newspaper. As far as the Guardian, I always like how they put their lead story. Local carriers struggle as foreign airlines rake in 1.7 billion from Nigerian market. So you can see their illustrations. 2025 weekly foreign airlines flight frequencies report. British Air leading, not really leading. Ethiopian Air, yeah, 27. I think the next to that is KLM, and then we have British with that BA, and then you have the remaining other ones, Turkish Airline, we have African World. But they say, well, so there's something to only 3 Nigerian airlines are either regional or international routes. The airlines are Air Peace, Ibom Air, and Overland Airways. They continue to struggle, commanding just barely 10% market share. The Nigerian market requires an estimated 54,994 seats weekly. So of all this market, we're just tightening it in the sense.
Yes, it's just a pity that they say federal government has been doing a quite fantastic job, but I don't see it that way. $1.7 billion is huge amount of money, and our local carrier, there's a way they can support. They can start with the government officials, that if you are flying abroad, it's taxpayers' money, you must use local carrier unless they are not going through to that route. And secondly, they can, they can encourage our local carriers where to open up other international line, since we don't have a national carrier, because it was a shambles before. late President Muhammadu Buhari, they call them come and dedicate national carrier. Let's put that aside. Let's encourage. That's why we are clamoring for local content. You understand? So it's not when things happen or Nigerians are stranded abroad, then one of the airline Earpiece, let's give it to them. They will, they will now applaud them. Earpiece has gone to airlift Nigeria because of. So what happens? Encourage them to open some other international airline because they can't do it alone as a local player. They need the backings of the government, and of course they may be crying for subsidies, subsidizing some of the parts, open up a hangar. Can you imagine for them to whether type C check or type A checks or they need to travel miles outside Nigerians to go and do all that. So those are costing us millions of dollars. And just come to think of it, let's say our local airline, they take, let's say, 30% of that money. It's going to do a lot to us. 30% is almost over $300 million. We are not going to pay forex. That money is going to domicile here. But 10% is still just a matter that is nothing to roam about. Government can do a lot for them to make sure our local carrier, they are well patronized.
And it's clear that this is speaking to foreign flights, right? And it's evident. Only Airpeace, Ibom Air, and Overland even do perhaps regional or international. Airpeace, London, tries to do London, but others is just more regional. So naturally, they will have the bigger share. The foreign airlines, because they are the ones that fly. And you see Ethiopian Airlines, because it's very affordable. So I'm sure a lot of people will try to use it. So I think we should first understand. Let's master the local. We're still talking about.
We have conquered the local market, but
let's be able to do it effectively and efficiently. Okay. I think we can still be a lot better. So once, they say charity begins at home. If we're able to conquer it well, conquer regional, then we can begin to talk international. But hey, absolutely, this is not me asking anybody not to aspire, to perspire, to require. Well, there you go. That's the front page of the Guardian newspaper. It's a whole lot to unpack. Also, you see the talk around the APC, state government, El Rufai trading words over insecurity in Kaduna. So, big day really for the news, but we have to thank you so much, Mr. Dini Ifetaya, for always providing insights, a public affairs analyst, joining us live from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Ifetaya.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we've had Imo State, Ebonyi State, doing above the nationally agreed minimum wage, but we have 34 more states that are a bit quiet. So what exactly is playing out? Well, NECA is leading the charge, encouraging other states to follow suit. But how will that work? We'll be speaking with the Employers Consultative Association in a moment. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. Let's now talk about employment, employability, but the big one has to do with the national minimum wage. The federal government has set that target of 70,000 naira. Some states who have big capacity, or maybe they want to treat their workers better, put some at 75, some are put it at 80, 85. We're seeing some states now doing over 100,000 naira. But what's the level of compliance across board, and how does it affect the public and the private sector? We've been joined in the program by the Director General of the Nigerian Employment Consultative Association. Employers Association.
Employers Consultative.
Consultative Association. That's Mr. Adewale Smartoyende. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Always a pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's good to see you in different attire this time. I know that particular NECA outfit you always wear.
So I beat you to it this way.
Okay, so let's begin with just an overview of your impression of the new moves. There was an era where it was almost every other battle, every other day about payment. Maybe that has tapered a bit. Now we're looking at record increases at a subnational level, but we're also looking at each level of compliance. In fact, one of the things we were querying, as much as we're excited about the numbers, is sustainability. But what's your impression?
Thank you once again. I think it's a good signal. You know, the last 3 negotiations that we've had in the context of the national minimum wage, the challenge had always been the subnationals. You know, when the federal government can muzzle the amount negotiated, while the private sector can do within its context of its limitation, also pay a bit above what the government was doing then. The conversation has always centered around the subnationals, their inability to pay. And that has always been the crisis. And even when we talk about the compliance issues, there has always been compliance concerns at the subnational level. But now that we are hearing the news after the president signed the 70,000, some states are upping it above 70,000, which is good for us. But there are more fundamental issues that we need to look at beyond just upping the minimum wage from 70 to 100 to 140,000. And all of those 104,000 Imo State. Now the key issue we need to interrogate is this: why that increase? Is it because of increased productivity at the side of the workers? Is it in the context of prudent management of resources and maximization of the natural resources that the state has so it can generate more income? Or is it a direct factor of the president's magnanimity by increasing the allocation to the federation account? So if the
it's not a magnanimity, it's the federation money.
Well, federation money, yeah. But he probably could have said, look, I want to put those funds somewhere.
No, he doesn't have the right to. That's for the record. He doesn't have the right. If it's a law, it's a law.
Now the flow to the state has increased proportionately. And it's expected that you respond also to the needs of the critical stakeholders in that state proportionately, and the workers happen to be one of those key stakeholders. So it's a good development within the context of the socio-economic situation that we currently face. So we welcome that move, and we also urge, and that was what prompted our urge that other states whose inflow also have increased proportionately should do more within the context of not only increase the minimum wage for the state workers, but address key fundamental issues. Because if you don't address those issues, pay 200,000, it comes back to buying nothing. It's about what exactly that amount can buy. And if you can deal with 3 different issues: issue of transportation, which is very at the heart of workers, because all household must transport, must eat, and must get accommodation. So deal with those 3 issues with the support as an increase in the minimum wage, and then things we start building up. But it's a good start that the minimum wage in those states are increased.
So what's your interpretation of, you have pointed some intent for the increase?
Yeah.
Productivity, prudent management of resources, and I don't know whether I added the last layer, just politics or whatever. Because
Increase in revenue.
Some of them are looking for second term, so this is a good political game for them. So we can't take that off the table as well. And then increase in revenue from what has happened so far under this administration. So what, in your view, is the biggest driver here? Have you been able to interpret the intent?
I think the biggest drive for us will be increase in revenue. You know, your options are, your reasons for not paying is almost tending to zero, because the initial conversation about not paying is inability to pay because of the inflow from the federation account to the states. I remember there was a point where there was serious conversation about changing the distribution model, the percentages that goes to the states, to the local government, to the federal government, so that the states can be in a better position to meet their responsibilities as per paying the minimum wage. But now that the inflow from federation account has doubled, in some instances tripled, that argument naturally just reduces. So we think it's a response to the inflow, the new inflow from federation account to the states, which we believe strongly the state can also maximize to deal with other socio-economic issues that will make the minimum wage actually sustainable for the workers. Come to think of it, Carrie, it's the minimum, I think we should, it is the minimum that nobody should earn. It's not the final, it's not the topmost in the edge of wages. It's just the base.
That's the lowest level worker.
Lowest level worker that you should know, and that is basically what we're talking about.
And it's a very important point to make, because we've had announcements time and again. In fact, you have announcements that were made decades ago, and they'll come and tell you that, no, it was just announcements. I'm talking beneficiaries. We never got anything afterwards. So we spoke with the state government, who said, when will they start receiving? That's for Imo State. And it said, well, by the end of September, this month, they're meant to start receiving it. And we'll be following up, to be sure, because just in February, you were still saying that there are some states that are not paying. They should start paying. NLC even named some states that are not paying. Yeah. So it's very interesting that we're here now. The Imo State government said that, well, their IGR increased from, 400 million naira to about 3 billion naira. And then what they get from Federation account increased from about 5.7 billion to 14 billion. So it has doubled. So obviously that's where the money will be coming from. But you have raised concerns because it's meant to stand on 3 legs. There's meant to be productivity. Absolutely. In the state. There's also meant to be the use of resources, how you're able to convert prudent use, be able to convert that to revenue, before we then talk about the Federation account, what comes from the federal.
Exactly.
So what must, first of all, the other states that have not announced an increase, a further increase, do they have any excuse for you? Do they have any excuse not to increase it beyond? Lagos is paying 85, for example, beyond the 70. Some other states are still struggling to pay 70. NLC said some states only added 5,000 naira to the previous one. So does any state right now have any excuse not to pay more than the minimum wage?
Well, why we are not directly involved in the core, the real dynamics of the state, what are the socioeconomic challenges that they have. But it is important to also state that the workers, either in the public and private sector, they are very key drivers of the economy of any state, and a very key driver of even the private sector. And whatever will improve productivity, will increase motivation, especially within the context of the reforms that we are currently ongoing. Whatever will reduce their pain so that they can focus on the issue of productivity. If you are hungry, or if you are not really composed, you are hungry, you have issues with shelter, you have issues with transport, hardly will be productive at work. So it's in the best interest of those state governments that they see the civil service as the engine that drives that system. So if you see it from that perspective, you realize then it becomes important for you to address the issues that concerns that engine. And that's the perception of the private sector. Because the workers in the private sector, they are quite critical to productivity, critical to growth of the private sector. And that is the perception we have, that workers are important. Then let's treat them, as the ILO said, that workers are not, they are not commodity, employees are not commodity. So treat them in such a way that they can focus within the context of productivity. We cannot take away motivation and compensation from productivity. I think the goal, there must be a nexus between both of them so that we can achieve the balance that we want. So no state really have no excuse in the context of the current realities to stay at that 70,000, especially with people struggling with the price of petrol is still up. While many states are still doing a lot with the CNG buses, we think more still needs to be done. A lot still needs to be done with the context of food security and shelter. Once you deal with that, the conversation will not really be about minimum wage, because the 70 naira, the 70,000, the quantum of that 70,000, we're able to buy enough for an average household, so that it's not about the quantum, it's about what exactly the 70,000 can buy.
Very important point you make. Now, we know that government is the largest employer in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
But that's not to say the private sector is not pulling its own weight as well. I don't know if you've been able to do that.
That is also contestable. For every 10 jobs created, it has been established globally, every 10 jobs created, the private sector creates 8 of them.
Which one are you contesting? That in Nigeria, that the government is the biggest employer?
No, I don't agree.
You don't agree with that?
Except you back it up with very...
So what is your own?
I think the private sector remains the biggest employer.
The biggest employer.
Yeah, the biggest employer. If we maximize, in the last 10 years, we have enumerated the numbers of businesses that have either left the shore of this country or closed shop. Let me give you a simple hypothesis. Take a manufacturing business that employs 50,000 because of the production system they use. You employ 50,000. Now, in the value chain, in the production chain, there are businesses that supplies that manufacturing business. And there are businesses that also they are off-takers of the production of that manufacturing business. So at the back, there are businesses supplying that manufacturing company. At the front end, there are businesses off-taking from that manufacturing business. Now, if that 50,000, if that business should close shop, that means 50,000 people are going home. We see that 50,000 people going home. But we lose sight of the many businesses that will be unable to supply. And because they are unable to supply that business inputs, they are also closing. And other businesses at the front end, they are waiting for this business to produce so that they can also sell. Also, they will also go home, and all the workers. So, hypothetically, you have from 50,000 that are going home from the principal primary employer. You have another 100 or 150,000 going home that we cannot account for. So in that context, you see the private sector as the biggest employer, basically, in the context of Nigeria.
Well, I don't expect anything less. You naturally speak for the private sector, but I'm talking about the aggregation of federal, states, and all of them. But again, that's the challenge with data in Nigeria.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they will tell you that we're the largest employer
in fact,
in Nigeria.
I'm looking at, depending when we get MBS's data.
Yeah. Absolutely.
ChatGPT says governments at all levels is between 10 to 12%. Private formal sector is between 15 to 20%. And then the private informal, which is talking about those back and forth, accounts for even more than that.
Fair enough.
So thanks to ChatGPT.
No, we're not going to take that. So that is very contestable. But it speaks to lack of data again.
Yeah,
we can talk about structured employment or structured employment. I think when we break it down, we can then go
absolutely.
granular.
Yeah.
But the point I was even trying to make is this. For the private sector now, Labour has been saying we need to renegotiate minimum wage. I know how much headache you had coming to this point of 70,000 naira. So is the private sector also ready to give more? And this is not coming from a place of magnanimity, right? This is coming from a place of what needs to be done to ensure that the economy is running. So is the private sector also able to stay at the renegotiating table and say, okay, we're able to do more than we're doing right now?
Let me give a bit of the dynamics of the private sector, how it works in the private sector. And this is very, very, very important. Now, at the private sector, we have sectoral groups. We have the food and beverages sector. We have the chemical and non-metallic sector. We have the shop and distributive. Over 35 different sectors that we have, over 35. And at that sectoral level, there are engagements between the employers in that sector and the unions in that sector. So every 2 years or 3 years, and in some instances every year, there's a negotiation of the minimum wage in that sector. So before we came to the 3 years minimum wage now, when it was 5 years, the private sector will have negotiated the minimum wage in that sector twice before the 5 years. So progressively, the minimum wage in the private sector has always been ahead of the national minimum wage. So even when we got to the negotiation last year, and we are discussing the minimum wage itself, and we arrived at 65,000, it was based on the fact that the lowest, probably the lowest paying employer in the private sector is probably paying around 60,000 when it was 30,000. So
including contract staff and the rest?
Now, there are different dynamics within the context of the contract staff. Because when it was 30,000, yes, people are playing around that 30,000, but immediately it became 70,000 and it became the law. Our responsible advice to all employers is that you must abide by the law. It's 70,000. The socio-economic conditions that workers are facing, that households are facing, also make it imperative that you pay 70,000. Because if 30,000 cannot bring the employer, the worker, to work, basic transportation, then it doesn't, it's become callous for you to insist on paying 30,000. So employers in the private sector are paying currently above the 70,000. Will renegotiation take place? It will be handled at the sectoral level, where we know the compassion level of employers at the private sector, at the sectoral level, can hardly be compared with what is happening at the state or the federal level. Also, it's also important to note that immediately the fuel subsidy was removed, and remember the president also alluded to it, that the private sector rose up to the occasion. Currently, a lot of our employees, many are working from home, whether 1 day or 2 days working from home, so that to reduce the pressure on transportation. Some are working full day from home. We know of organizations that are giving products, part of their products, giving staff every month. And these are part of, these are benefits in kind that you can't really quantify, just to mitigate the challenges of the employees. So the private sector, basically, we are doing as much as we can do within the context of our limitation. We don't draw revenue. We are not part of the sharing formula at the federation account. We don't collect tax. Tax is collected for the private sector. We don't receive contributions. Private sector pay contributions. And even within the context of the IGR that you mentioned, part of our fears is this, and we hope the state government will be mindful of this. When a state government says they've increased the IGR, I think we need to interrogate it. What exactly does it mean? Is it that we have increased taxes? Is it that we have created a lot of further bottlenecks for the informal sector or the private sector so that it can generate more income? Even while the federal government is working assiduously through the Presidential Committee on Fiscal and Tax Reforms to reduce and consolidate all tax to 1 digit. So we need to interrogate those contexts of revenue, those contexts of IGR. Where exactly is those IGR, where are they coming from? And I must say this also. While the revenue increases from the federation account, beyond the context of the minimum wage that we're talking about, I think it's also important for the states to pay attention to human capital development at their states. Because you build infrastructure, at a point infrastructures will decay. If you don't train the workers, if you don't improve the capacity of those workers, then you are basically sabotaging yourself. We were at Nasarawa State last week, and we saw what was happening in the context of human capital development. It was amazing. Just in North Central now, it was amazing. And our expectation is that beyond just pulling the funds, increasing minimum wage, which is very necessary, a lot still needs to be done to equip the workers, as been done in the private sector, at the subnational level, so that context of productivity will meet the context of wage demand, so that the kind of growth that we desire, we can achieve it quickly.
How do we build that cultural problem? Because you have segued somehow into a political conversation because of what we see as perception of what you call performance by governors. That's why I see most of them are big on things we can see. If it's not things you can see, some of them are not really big on it. But this is fundamental, which is the reason why America is confused over China, because China took its time to build capacity. I think I was listening to the CEO of Apple, and he was talking about the size, the incredible size of scalability, a scale. So he was speaking at a forum. I don't know how big the hall was. If you want to do this particular thing now, that in America you may not have people that can do that in this field, the hall where it was. But he said, in China, you can have people that are technically astute, that can fill stadia. That was his description. Because they were talking about cheap labor and all. He said, no, that's not true exactly.
Absolutely.
I don't know what.
I agree with you.
So how do we help the public officials who are looking at their performance based on, the things we can see, rather than building capital, human capital development? Because this also will increase the wage size, and it also shows in the disproportionate way they pay. So, for instance, if I heard a professor in Nigeria earns less than 600,000, how much is that? Is that our money for all the work they do? And then we have the issue of aides of governors earning 1 million. You see that disparity? What do you make of it?
I think beyond the advocacy from stakeholders, I think the press also have to start interrogating certain issues. I think our value system should start changing gradually. I think we place more attention to the physical. We've seen cameras blaring on on a local government chairman commissioning a borehole. You know, I think our focus should change and interrogating what exactly matters to us in 10 years' time as a nation. And those things that matter to us should be the capacity of our people. You know, if you don't train them, then build the best of infrastructure. The people you don't train will run down those infrastructures. And that's why we are aligned with the whole context and gamut of skill development. And our foray also into skill development, it just opened there for all to see. You know, recently we got an opportunity from Microsoft, an international organization of employers. They are giving us over 100,000 opportunity to train Nigerians in fluency in AI, free of charge. And we've deployed that opportunity to Nigerians. We've informed agencies, we've informed employers. All they have to do is just log on to that platform, complete the 6 module, fluency in AI, and print their certificates. It's Microsoft-backed certificates. Print it and give them that introductory level, introductory entrance into the whole context of AI. If you're not literate in AI, or if you don't know the basics, then your claim to be a productive employee will be in contention in the next few years. So I think the press should start interrogating the things that really matter, and human capital development is one of those.
Well, thank you so much. It's an ongoing conversation, apparently.
Absolutely.
And let's see how this culture can change.
Absolutely.
And now there's more monies, especially the elements you talked about, transportation, feeding, and housing.
And housing, yeah.
Nigeria Employers Consultative Association Director General Adewale Smart-Oyerinde joined us. Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you always for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking to MTN. We'll tell you why they are here in just a moment. Stay with us.
So let's talk about the next Afrobeats superstar. It's a reality show being organized by MTN. It promises to be a big one to unveil the next Afrobeats superstar in Nigeria. And you know, naturally, that'll be for the world, right? And we have joining us on the show, as you can see, well, a lot of people know him as P Prime. But real name, if you want to sign that check, is Peace Oredokwe. Good morning, P Prime.
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
So let's lay the foundation. A lot of people know you. A lot of people know you without knowing they know you because they've listened to your work. So tell us about yourself and where people have heard you before. I know there's a particular hit that you did. You've talked about it. I think that one just caught on like wildfire. But you're one of the judges on this coming reality show. But let's get to know you first. Who is P Prime and where have we met before in terms of listening to your work?
My name is P Prime. I'm a music producer, songwriter, DJ. Worked on a couple records. I made Baby Is It a Crime for Rema, did Olamide's Loading, Olamide's Infinity, Bandana, Firebrand, Ashake. Did Rema's last album, It Is, and did Ashake's last album, Longo Boy. Yeah, just...
There's one street anthem that you did. You want to
which one is it?
Which one is it, right? Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it was a beat you did, and you were like, you know, you just worked on that beat. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
There's a couple, man. Lagos Anthem.
You know, when you have so much under your belt, you know what, we'll end the show with that, but let's talk about business first, and it's about the MTN Next Afrobeat Star. Now, why is this different, really? Because we've had a lot of music shows, in fact, some of them still on, come and go, but this is promising to be quite different. But I want to know, yes, what is different about this and what caught your attention that you've chosen to be a part of this big project?
I think one thing that actually stands out about this for me is the fact that the judges, like the panel of judges are different. This time it's producers, like music producers, like we basically craft the sounds, we basically build artists up. I mean, who better to do it than the music producers? Because like previous shows have probably had like artists, music execs, and I don't think there's there's actually been like a talent show that has been predominantly music producers, like, you know, like leading the forefront, like in terms of being like the panel of judges. So I think that actually makes it stand out for me, man.
And that's brilliant, because when you think about it, you are like the building block.
Exactly.
That's why I asked you, where have we heard you before? People hear your work, they know you in some sense, but not your name. But you are really responsible for a lot of these hits, at least partly responsible. So that's what you say, this is, that's why this is different for you in that sense.
I mean, like, amongst many reasons, man, but I'll lead with that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
You know, when it comes to contests and competitions like this, everybody has what they are looking for. You're seated as a judge, so 2 questions in one, if you can. What made you to agree to sign on as a judge? And then when the show starts proper, what are you going to be looking for in each of the contestants to be able to say, okay, this person looks like what we're looking for?
To answer your first question, I was mentored by SARS, and I know what that has done for me. Do you get me? Like having someone to like hold you, like, and show you the ropes of the industry, like give you tips, like even just having someone to call, like when things are not, you know, like really going well, or like, oh shit, like I have this idea that like, or like something's going on with the business, like I need to figure out, like someone being there for you, like also counts. Like even in terms of the music, branding, like just getting things right, man. Like for me, like I'll say mentorship is everything, man, which is what we're offering. Do you get me? Or which is what I've come, and like the other judges on the panel, so I've come to do on this talent show. Yeah. And sorry, what's the second question?
The second question asks, since you have that background of being mentored, and you're going to mentor people this time, what would you be looking out for?
Originality, definitely, man. Like come ready to like work, come like owning your own music, your own style. Like I think that's actually really, really important in making music, man. Like I don't wanna do things with you if you're trying to sound like someone, or if you're not even ready to put in the work. Everyone wants to be a star, but like you actually have to be willing to put in the work. Like, are you gonna show up disciplined? Even on days when you're not feeling like it, like, are you still gonna show up? Like, are you gonna give it your best? Like, these are the things I personally am going to be looking forward to.
So, because this is the internet, the social media, and so many things we have at our beck and call now as young people, especially your generation and down, has democratized opportunity for everyone. So not everybody feels like they're the Lord of the Manor. They can do without a lot of people. YouTube is there, this and that is available. So why is mentorship still a thing in this era when everybody can access everything?
Mentorship is everything, man. Mentorship is everything. Like, there's only so much you can actually like know by the books or like the internet online. Do you get me? It's different. Like it's the same way they say theory is different from practical. You need someone that's actually like been in the game. Like you need someone that's actively in the game. Like you need someone that's done this for a long period of time. Do you get me? Like it's everything, man. It's everything.
Well, I must agree with that, because it's one thing to learn from your own mistakes. It's another thing to learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah, save
that
yourself
way,
the stress, man.
you don't have to make the mistakes, and you're standing on people's shoulders so you can see farther.
Exactly.
So that's a very important point. I'm tempted to talk about Zazu, but we'll talk about that later. Now you get it right. But, you know, with this competition, do you expect that we'll see the next global star coming out of this competition?
Definitely. Like I wouldn't be a part of the panel of judges if I wasn't gonna give it my best, man. But definitely gonna see the next global Afrobeat superstar for sure.
So we're gonna see the next global star.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that too, man.
I mean, because there's you there, right? So naturally, you and other big names, you expect to see the next superstar. So this is the promo. These are the judges. We have Puffy T right there, who's going to be on that show as well. And there you see, it's like the dream team in that sense. So walk us through the people, the other judges who will be on the show that these young artists will get to meet, interact with, mentored by.
There's I myself, there's SARS. I think
Sounds
we
a
all,
mentor.
yeah, I think we all know SARS. There's Andrew Vibes. He made Rema's biggest song, Calm Down. There's Puffy T. They made Yauze. Like these are all people, you know, like from different generations. Do you get me? Like people that have like the track record, that have the backing and everything, that have like, you know, like proven themselves like over and over again and are still relevant to this day. Do you get me? So like definitely, man.
So one wonder, it feels like if you look at the numbers and the enthusiasm of reality shows in Nigeria is dwindling from what we know. So what will make this MTN next Afrobeat star different to stand out there from your assessment?
MTN has a track record, man. They've done this before. They've done Project Fame. They've literally, you know, they've given us global superstars. We have artists like Praise, Nyanya, Chidema. They've done this before, and they're doing it again, man. But this time, they're dealing with music producers. Like, we literally craft the sound. Like, we literally help build the artists up. Man, I'm really just.
You're trying not to sound proud.
Yeah,
I can hear, like, don't let me be humble right now.
Like I'm like, if I were on the other end of the screen, like I'll be super excited. I can say that for myself, man. Like you've got like amazing mentors, like you've got amazing people that are going to that are coming to do this with you. You've got Meme, you've got SARS, you've got Andrew Vibes, we've got Puffy T. Like, come on, we're all locked into like making this work.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in terms of exposure, of course, it's live TV, I guess, and all of that. What are they looking forward to in terms of reward? Do you have an idea?
Oh, yeah.
I know you're a judge, so you may not be interested in the business. You're just interested in the production.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm sure you have an overview.
I mean, for the first runner-up, there's $100,000 music deal on the table, and the second and third also like get music deals too. Yeah, so that's a huge amount of money, man.
Okay,
if I get $100 million, like, yo, I'm chilling.
So how do we get it? So did I say we? How do young Nigerians out there, you know, who want to be a part of it, they're excited, how do they get in? I know that you have to text NAS to 13013.
Yeah.
That's, you can do a short code. But there's also a website.
Yeah,
which is nextafrobeatstar.com, which is what you have right there on the screen. And that's it. But then there will be physical auditions, if I get that correctly.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's the process like? You come for physical auditions, and then there's a live show. Can you maybe walk us through what to expect?
You come for physical auditions, and we pick the artists we're going to work with. And basically, it's a mentorship program, basically, and a talent show. Like, everyone comes and apply, like, you sign up, like, you do everything you have to do. We pick our own artists, and from there, like, we develop them. We spend time with them in the studio, like going through music with them, like mentoring them on, even outside of just making music, like how you carry yourself as an artist, like your stage presence, your everything. Like, we touch all bases, like even the business part of things too. Basically, what a mentor does to the mentee, basically, yeah. And we have the grand finale show at the end of it all, where we select the winner out of all.
Let's look into your crystal ball and try to experiment. 2 of us are your artists.
We are.
We're your artists, right?
Yeah.
So forgive us, we're wearing suits. It's not part of the package.
We're corporate artists.
We're corporate artists. So when people show up, walk us through your impressions in sequence. As they show up, as they open their mouth, as they perform, and when they finish. Do you have a way of, for you as a judge, do you have a way of looking at those things? Does it affect how you score them?
Yeah, definitely. Your confidence, for sure. Like, I'm definitely going to be looking out for that.
How do you separate that from pride?
That's a very good question, man. I mean, like, you just have to come ready, man. I guess, like, if you really, really want this, you're gonna come ready. Like, I've been in sessions, like, with like big artists, and me, young boy coming from Isolo, like being in the studio with like crazy artists that have had like crazy like success. Do you get me? I'm not going to allow my fries get the best of me, man. Like I'm definitely coming with my A game. I'm coming prepared. Whatever fight I'm leaving everything at home. I know like, okay, right now, like this is time to get serious. Like I really, really want this, and I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to give it everything. Because trust me, like I'm actually going to be looking out, man. Do you get me? So definitely.
That's great. So you have, what do we call that? Orijo. All of the artists coming, you know what, at least some part of what they're looking out for. So there's no excuse for you. Just go right away and text NAS to 13013. I'm interested in your journey, right? Because I talked about Zazu, which is a street anthem, right? A lot of people still refer to that, right? But I think that captured another layer of the market entirely. But I'm interested in your journey now that you mentioned Isolo, where you started from. And I think this is important. So a lot of people who will be a part of this competition can say that, wait a minute, he's human, actually. He's someone we can touch, we can feel,
really?
Right?
It's always
Exactly.
Lagos. It's close to the airport.
Speak to us about your journey, how you were able to grow from who you were then to who you are now.
So I come from a church background. Like my older siblings, like they were all in the church choir, and when I came, like I literally also joined the church choir. I started playing drums when I was 4 years old. My brother taught me how to play the drums, and after a while, like I picked up the piano too.
So it always starts with the drums. I think I see that trend.
Oh,
because you need to learn metronome, you need to learn how to count.
Exactly, you need to know how to
so
count.
it's always with the drums.
Yeah, you could say that. You could say that. I started learning on the piano. After which I attended Muson, the School of Music in Nigeria, basically. Yeah, music school of Nigeria, and my uncle used to DJ, so like I spend like a lot of time. Like if you're looking for me when I'm like back in the solo, I'm either like in the house, my mom's shop, in the church, or my uncle's DJ store, like one of those places. And my mom told me recently, she was like, oh, like do you remember when you used to come to my shop, like you set up all the plastic and you were playing drums and you scattered the whole thing and you break the plastic, and like she'd be like, my brother would come and step in for me and it would be like, yeah, like just leave him, like let him do his thing and that. From there, I started, like DJing. I started going to churches, like playing instrument, and after a while, I was trying to find a way to, impute my knowledge of the piano to songs that are already out there, because like I'll hear the song, like I play piano, I want to add my own things to it, but I also want to be able to record it. And one of those days, I just took out the beats and I had a complete beat, and ever since I just started making music from there, man.
You never looked back since then?
I never looked back.
So when you hit your first, because we all have our first in our chosen path.
Yeah.
Whether as a journalist or as anything, you have that moment where like, whoa, finally I'm listed. What was that song that made you feel I'm finally listed? Nigeria say, I don't blow. Because your journey is important to, the people that are watching that are going to come on that show to inspire them.
In 2018, I attended the SARS Academy where I met SARS, and I met my manager, my current manager, and amongst like so many other people. And I remember after the academy, like I'd reached out to her and I was like, yo, I have an idea for Zlatan. Can you make it happen? And we got into the studio. The first day we linked up, we made three songs. And at that time, I couldn't really believe it, man, because Zlatan was going crazy. Like that was the period, like it was going like insane crazy. And ever since, like we spent a lot of time together. Like we made like a couple songs. I worked on his album Zanko to the World. Made 3 songs of that. After that, I made Fireboy. I did Like I Do with Fireboy. Then I did Gelato with DJ Copy and Zlatan. I'd say that's the song that like that's the first big song for me, basically, though.
I remember that song.
Yeah, Gelato.
I made a lot of people search, what is gelato? Where can I get gelato? I remember that song.
Yeah, so that happened, and after that, I worked on Olamide's Carpe Diem album. I made 7 songs of the project, and that kind of like created buzz for me. And after that, Wiz reached out and was like, "Oh, like your songs, like I really like the way you work. We should do something together." And ever since then, and it's been one song after the other, like just building it up, basically.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
P Prime, we could keep you all day because there's a lot of inspiration in your story. But I want you to end on this note. What role? Because MTN now collaborating with producers, it's almost like, it's not novel, but it's something we've been expecting since. Now, making this happen, for you, how important is MTN's role in all of this to make this possible, and why is it important?
Like I said earlier, man, MTN has a strong backing, and like they literally have a strong track record. So they've been doing this for a very, very long time. In terms of visibility, they also have the visibility. Do you get me? So like that's like one of the like many reasons that I really think this is important. They've literally also like put like other artists on, like they've made global superstars out of projects they've also worked on. Do you get me? And now they're literally back to do the same thing again. So yeah, man.
P Prime, we have to thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing, that you're churning out there. I think it's beautiful to see. I've always been curious though. How long does it, what's the time limit in that sense? Or what's the time frame for example, Zazu, the beat you made? Or how does it work with you? Are you the kind of producer that just goes in, 5 minutes, you're done, you just do your thing, 10 minutes? Some say that. For some, they say, this beat, I made it for 6 months. I kept leaving it and coming back to it. So how does it work for you, your creative process?
I think it varies for everyone, man. It varies for everyone. Say songs like Zazu. I'm going to give you 2 examples, Zazu and Dynamite, Wizkid and Tyler, that just dropped. Say for a song like Zazu, we made, I remember Olamide landing in Lagos on a Sunday, and we were locked in an hotel, and we literally made the song that day. And I had to finish production, mix and master everything by the next day.
Ooh.
So like under 24 hours, we literally got the entire song together. And I think they had posted a snippet while we were making it, and everything just kind of went off. So like from leaving Olamide's hotel to going back to my own hotel to working on the song, having Pokoli come over like and doing his own thing and working on the song, we put everything together under 24 hours. And say for a song like Dynamite, we made the song since 2022, and we only just finished it in 2025.
3 years.
Yeah. I mean, like, we definitely left it for a minute.
But again, it took a whole 3 years from start to finish.
Exactly. It took a whole 3 years from start to finish. Man.
Why was that? Because everybody was busy.
We're just waiting for the right time, and now's the right time. Yeah. The song is out and banging now, so...
So the inspiration to you out there, even if you started doing that song in 1990, it's never too late to bring it out. P Prime, again, we have to thank you so much for your time. We're expecting that this will be big, as it is natural, and would have the next global star coming out of this. We've had the pleasure of speaking with P Prime, one of the best producers out of, Africa, in the world right now. That's safe to say, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Real name, so that's confidence, not pride.
Yeah, I know who I am, so I'm not even tripping.
I like that. So you have to know who you are. Peace Oredokwe, record producer, music director, also a judge on the MTN Next Afrobeats Star. Thank you for your time. I'll be looking forward to the next star.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah.
Whew, I feel like going to register for that right now. So if you're interested,
stick to your job.
Text NAS to 13013 right now. Tell someone to tell someone so you can be a part of this. We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll talk security. Stay with us right here on The Morning Read.
Let's move from there on the issues around reality TV shows. So, reality in life, and this has to do with security. We're being joined by a security expert, Mr. Onyekachi Adekoya, joins us right here in our Lagos studios. Mr. Onyekachi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
When we have you, we have layers of conversation. In fact, I just remember now, there's another one that just came to my mind. I'm going to add to this conversation. But let's start from the very first one. We had news about Simon Ekpa, who we understand now that IPOP has, distanced themselves from. So he's not their member. We know all he did online, instigating all the things he did, and eventually landed himself in court and now been jailed for 6 years, and the federal government has applauded it. I remember, I think the CDS was the one that said, since that's his arrest in Finland, there has been relative peace in the Southeast, meaning is alluding to the fact that he caused a lot of problem for security agencies and the Nigerian state as far as he continued to do the things he did. What do you make of it?
Okay, I think we're a bit excited as a country that Finland was able to dispense justice within 3 months. And maybe in that euphoria, we are tacitly comparing our judicial system with that of Finland, which I don't think we should do, because Finland ranks about the top 5 in terms of its judicial effectiveness and competency. I'm taken a bit aback. The criminal justice system in Finland has done its job, whereas the Nigerian criminal justice system is struggling. You have the Supreme Court having, at the last count, almost 10,000 cases awaiting trial. So, that's on the one hand. I don't see the noise. A matter was taken before a criminal justice system and dispensed with in good time. Perhaps we want to self-reflect a bit. Now, to the point, and based on available information, correctly, since his arrest, apprehension, and detention, there's been some relative peace in the Southeast. Remember that the efforts that IPOD was waging was an information war. And, that also forms some part of what you call an influence operation. So whereas you had the Simon Ekpa, you had Nnamdi Kanu out of the picture, you had a Simon Ekpa who was always, heating up the conversation, making announcements. As you see, some sit-at-home announcements, this will not happen. And to some effect, those things did not happen. So if that's what the CDS is alluding to, then yes, we've seen some relative stability. Plus the fact that there's been good effort on the part of the Anambra state government and the Abia state government and some other southeastern governments to also deal head-on with the issue of this problem that they've been having. So maybe it's a combination of factors. And yes, the Simon Ekpa being taken away has also contributed, to be fair.
It's interesting, the different dynamics you brought in. So there's a security angle to all of this, which is transnational, obviously. And there's also the judicial angle to this. And naturally, a lot of people have been speaking about, how will this affect the case of Nnamdi Kanu in Nigeria, for example. But more importantly, I think, is the lessons to also learn, right? We've seen the speed with which this case was heard, dispensed with. We almost were getting live, updates on it from time to time. You think that it was a Nigerian court that was sitting, the way we were getting the live updates, even images from the court in that sense. So I just want to speak to that on the side, so we don't lose sight of that important part of it, the judicial system. We've had Nnamdi Kanu in court for years on ending now, and it looks like this will happen for more years to come. There's always something coming up here and there. Do you see something to learn from this? Because you mentioned it in passing, because it's also important to dealing with issues like the insecurity and all of that, the judiciary.
So I think that we have a cultural problem in Nigeria. Just yesterday, I saw the forceful deboarding on Enugu Air of an unruly passenger. And, some people have argued that perhaps he should also be made a peace ambassador, because the first 2 classic cases in recent time, we missed the opportunity to uphold rule of law
in the country. So I'm waiting to see what pronouncement the Minister of Aviation will make. And it fits into the Nnamdi Kanu case. You see government make announcements that we know sponsors of terrorism. Nobody is being brought to court. Nobody is being prosecuted. Nothing is being done. We kind of seemingly favor jungle justice, and where you see the NSA report on the killing or decapitation of leadership of criminal gangs, which is part of the function of security. But what we miss also is that we have laws. You know, how many people are we bringing to the courts? What's the prosecution like? And to your point, it's a self-reinforcing problem. Our criminal justice system is really challenged. Even the prisons are being attacked here and there. You know, we've seen a recent case. So Nigeria is having a wicked problem, as I always say. It's hydra-headed. You know, and the problem is that we're a bit lethargic. We are not agile. We're not nimble. We're not moving. The assumptions upon which we are dealing with national security are a cake. You know, we are holding assumptions as old as 1940, 1958, 1960. We have almost nearing 250 million people. We have explosion of technology and disruption even by technology. We are now in a multipolar world. You can see what's happening in the SEO. You know, and then you have, to the point you didn't mention, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, and Simon Ekpa were able to successfully launch an information war, primarily against the Nigerian state. You know, so even in information domain, where are we playing? Where's the NTA? You know, you have the BBC, you have the CNN, you have the Fox, MSNBCs of this world. And, you know, they work on hearts and minds significantly. If you watch the American movie, the Americans are the good guys, the Russians are the bad guys, the Chinese are the bad guys. And we all grew up with this notion. So that's how powerful the information space is. So, you know, who's mastering and who's controlling narrative in our information domain to wit that someone like Simon Ekpa, you know, and Nnamdi Kanu can dominate. What led to the proscription of IPOB in the Southeast? Because IPOB said there will be no elections. The gubernatorial elections at that time would not, and all the political class were shaking because the information domain was absolutely controlled in the Southeast by IPOB. So, to your point, really, it's not just the judiciary. It's a myriad of problems, you know, and the way we deal with security. We always take a unitaristic approach to security, thinking as a carpenter would think that every problem looks like a nail and you have a hammer, and you just want to hit it. So you bring in the military every time. The military has over 31 operations across the country. We've over-domesticated, over-militarized our security architecture in an age where you're talking about the democratization of security, where the police is the lead agency in counter-terrorism, not counter-insurgency now. In counter-terrorism, it should be the police leading. Good investigative work, bringing people to courts, having your evidences in place, and securing conviction. And then when you take them to the correctional service, as we call them, you know, you can have some moderation when people come out because correctional service is not punitive. You know, you're also looking at the net impact on society when these people come out. So, Kyle, the problems we have in Nigeria are much. What is clear is that there is no system that is systemic in thinking. You know, talk about system thinking, you know, that looks at the holistic, bigger picture. What will be the next positive impacts of the criminal justice system to Nigeria's economy? The government wants to grow the GDP to about $1 trillion. Yes? So the question we should ask from the positive side, not the negative side, how can an effective criminal justice system help the administration achieve the $1 trillion economy?
Well, the rule of law is they call it the lowest hanging fruit.
There you go.
And if we fail at that, I don't know where we're going.
There you go.
Stay with this. I know you're a security expert, but you have segued in brilliantly. So let's stay within that sphere. How dangerous is Nnamdi Kanu? What are we looking at keeping him in jail, or the judicial system? You know, the case got all the way to the Supreme Court. I went back to the High Court. I followed that case critically. And even some governors have offered, I think the governor of Anambra has even made efforts. Some are making appeals. Some are making front-end appeals. Some are making back-end appeals for political resolution. What is it about him? What is it about this that is so much of a difficult situation? I don't even want to add the El Zazaki element. So since we talked Simon Ekpa, let's talk about Nnamdi Kanu.
So I'll take you back to the Minister of Aviation, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, who's taking political expediency. That's how convenient political expediency is, Comes back to the issue, political settlement. Well, crime is crime. Crime has no religion. It has no ethnicity. If Nnamdi Kanu has a case, or the state has a case against Nnamdi Kanu, then it should have his day in court. But even where the government itself does not obey court order, you then talk about political expediency because, beyond being gregarious as human beings, we're quite social and very, the South Africans would say it's an Ubuntu, you are because we are, let's settle out of court. There's a place for, alternative disputes, conflict resolution, and I give myself to that school of thought. But where the matter has come to court, it has come to court. You must let the man have his day in court and let the court decide, and the executive must enforce. If, however, following the powers given to the president by the law, he exercises his prerogative of mercy, then that's still within the ambit of the law. But at least allow the court and the law run its course. Where do we start from? There's a Sunday Igboho in the Southwest at the time. There was political expediency. It was resolved. And he's now, the other day, seen with the Oni of Ife, receiving fatherly blessing. Not for his action, but again, it's just part of political expediency. So my point is that as a law enforcement, private security professional, crime is crime. Let's treat issues of crime as it is. But if the government doesn't have the capacity, maybe that's what they're saying. There's a capability issue, and therefore you want to take alternative issues. So I can understand that, but where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? So sticking with this Nnamdi Kanu issue, the man is in court. Let the court decide, and let the court take its course. It's not something for political
because they're complaining that the court is taking too long and all the adjournment. Have you ever been to court when the man is taken to court?
There are maxims in law. There are maxims in law. The justice may be slow, but eventually, if it's served, then justice is served. Because in the courts, you make arguments. The court must listen to your arguments. The courts would, that's what the court is there for. You must air your own views. So if it takes time, it takes time. But that is the beauty of democracy, that you will have your day in court and the court will pronounce its judgment. So I don't think that, because we see this far too long, and that's how we go in this country.
So the implication of this on security in Nigeria is also a major part of this conversation, because you talk about the CDS celebrating it, government, the Attorney General. I believe also everybody is celebrating that court judgment in Finland, basically saying thank you, Finland, for doing your work.
For
doing the work. It also affects us back home. But you can see the efficiency with which that was done. We're not going there. But the impact on security here, particularly in southeast Nigeria, is the point. So yesterday, they still sit at home in parts of southeast Nigeria, and you know what that means, what that costs. But I want you to speak to I don't want to say acceptance, but really, there are a lot of people who still see IPOB, even Simon Ekpa, as freedom fighters. People who are trying to help us to have a voice on the table, help us to, fight for our rights in that sense, because there's that perception, and for a lot of people, they see justification for it, that the Southeast has been marginalized. Let's not even talk political and all of that. Recently, in northern Nigeria, you had, in Zamfara, for example, the government saying, these bandits are part of the communities. The people know them. So it's almost like they are one and the same. So it's sometimes hard to separate.
Yeah.
So you have people also who have that perspective in Southeast Nigeria. So when it's time for sit at home, even though it is uncomfortable to them, they see it as a necessary sacrifice to make. So is there really, because you made the point about using a hammer every time. How do we approach this such that we also find a way to resolve this without always going the hammer approach? Because there are people who support this. Let's not lie about it.
Okay, so very good question. The problem is like South Africa, and forgive my analogy really, but it's relevant. Post-1994, the ANC came to power, and before 1994, the ANC and its leaders were at the fore of the struggle to resolve the issue of apartheid. Now, 1994 to 2025, ANC can do no wrong because it's our party, it's our people, it doesn't matter. You have the BEP, you have some issues. Julius Malema was the other day in Enugu, was talking about. Now, the point is, the South African public have been stuck in activism. The people struggled for power, got the power, they were not clear on what to do with power. So to keep the people locked in political patronage, you know, there's still the us against them mentality. You know, you're looking and challenging the energy of the people towards a proverbial enemy. The blacks are a majority in South Africa. They control political power. If you have political power, you control everything. So who would you blame for the South Africans' GDP is at 0% now? Okay, fine, we had the civil war in 1966. Let's come back home now. It got resolved, and since then, the struggle has been us against them, the Nigerian state against the southeastern people. I've argued that until this recent dispensation, and with very profound respect, we've had very useless governors in the southeast. With very profound respect, and I'm not mentioning names. And I can say this because my mother is from Abia State. I schooled in Uturu, you know, Kigwe. We spent most of my Christmas in there. So you can see there's a disconnect. Time it was in Abia State when if you made comments against the government, you would disappear. There was political kidnapping. It's like this issue of Kaduna State now, where you have El-Rufai and current governor. I saw Senator Sani on TV talking about, you know, there was a time, 1999 to 2007, that political class, there was a lot of violence within the political space. We're not seeing as much political assassination as we used to see. So, you know, so you've had maybe it's a maturing of democracy in the Fourth Republic. There is a clear disconnect between the people and their governors at the subnational level, and it's not just in the Southeast. You see, the Southeast is small in landmass, so you can talk about the issue of the Southeast. But when you look at the Northwest and the Northeast, their landmass, their population size, and the impact of insecurity, it's worse in the North. But because of issues of religion and the fact that people are quick to say it's the will of God, you don't see the dramatization of the issues. But if you check the numbers, the North is the most impacted in any spectrum of measurements you want to look at. And again, it speaks to the kakistocracy that we run. So it's convenient for the people to share sentiments with an IPOB because there is a common enemy being the political narrative that is perpetuating itself in the Southeast, which is the Nigerian state. Meanwhile, the governors are receiving FAC.
From the Nigerian state. From the
Nigerian state, FAC has tripled. The president will not come and make Ebonyi work, or Enugu work, or Imo State work. There's a governor there. He has his legislative team. They have all the tools and all the powers of states to make the Southeast work. Go to Enugu today. I mean, we see some, maybe everything is not yet uhuru, but there's some movement in Enugu with the current administration. You can see Landmark has gone there. There's a quest to push business. Go to Abia. It's not still yet uhuru, but it's not what it used to be before. Now, Imo State is running a power program, taking advantage of the revised Electricity Act to also generate, because it wants to power its economy. So now you are having conversations, and the more this happens, the more people will stop looking to Abuja to understand that, hey, listen, the budget of the subnational governments greatly impacts the socio-economic development of the people at their subnational level, you know, and people can begin to take more interest in what the subnational governments are doing. So I think it will take us some time to begin to look at the core issues. The core issues is the disconnect between the people and their subnational government and the fact that everybody is pursuing a proverbial enemy.
Just a second, Jeffrey.
Okay.
So should sit at home end today?
No, people are comfortable with sit at home. And this is a democracy. if a people say we want our Sundays to be Mondays, I mean, I worked in the UAE for some time. You know, you work on Sundays. So, again, there's been some issues. So over the years, people have adjusted their lives to the sit-at-home. It's conditional adjustment, because at the time, the state could not provide them protection and safety. So conditionally, people have adjusted now. Monday is the new Sunday. And they work on Saturdays. And we talk about work-life balance and achieving harmony. Maybe now Mondays are easy days now in the South. But the economy is not being impacted, because every other person in the environment has adjusted. The Anambra State government has tried and pushed the Abia State government. So, Kayode, it's not an issue. With time,
some will say it's an issue. I like the way you humored it, humored around it, so that.
No, because I was in the Southeast the other day. So, it was quite convenient, and you should see what happens on a Sunday. People now club on Sundays because they know they will rest on Mondays.
Okay.
Why is that a national security issue?
We have to do a special report on that.
You should do a special report.
Conditional adjustment of the Southeast. But as we begin to wind down, there's another issue I want you to address. I'm happy you went back to 1999, where the early days of the political gra-gra, as we call it, where people were killed. We have names of unresolved assassinations, and we're happy we're not there yet. But what you're seeing playing out now is a bit worrying ahead of 2027. The political hot air is becoming really hot because the nuances of politicians, of course, you can't take it away from them. They're always, everybody is a champion until the results are out. Just like we saw in 2023. So we've seen an ADC say they wanted to have a meeting, they were disrupted, they are alleging the government. The government said they are the ones, the ADC are the ones that they have created the problems for themselves just to look for who to blame. I think yesterday night I saw that Abubakar Malami, I think the former AGF also, his convoy also was attacked. We've seen election in Rivers State with incredible, miraculous numbers. We've seen a couple of things happening across board. It looks like everybody is putting their weaponry, whatever you want to call it, ahead of 2027. Are you worried about security in 2027?
No, I'm not. I'm not worried at all. I'm not. Because we look at the security trajectory, we are not there yet. There's been a maturing of it. Let me analyze it this way. This is the first time in a long time where the military boys in Agbada will no longer be the main actors in the political space. This is the first time in a long time where the governors are themselves the force behind the emergence of a president. Before now, it was some old order that determined who got what and when, and the governors consistently fought to become political leaders in their states. Now, it is not yet at 100%, but they are not where they used to be. Remember, the governors have their senators, the House of Reps. You might say we're in a democracy, but yet they mold public opinion. So they are significant stakeholders. If you look at FAC allocation to the governors and the fact that they are swimming in cash, it just bears informed self-interest to say that continued political stability favors the political class, and the major stakeholders in this instance will be the governor. So we're just doing what we call a stakeholder mapping of the Nigerian political framing. So governors are key now to who becomes what. The people on the outside who are making all the noise, it's just what it is. Yoruba people call it Ariwoja. Yeah, people are just making noises, this is that, is that, is that. You can look at, I like to speak to the facts. You can look at the Nigerian-Brazil summit or the visit. You can look at the fact that we're now at 1.88 trillion barrels production. The president is moving to 4 trillion barrels per day. You can look at the fact that it's not yet percolating down, but there's significant movement in the GDP. GDP is growing about 3.7% with a potential to grow even higher. So maybe the president is benefiting from his reforms. Maybe also economically we say that the only place you can go from down is up. So things are turning the corner. And now we are at an opportune time where more Nigerians can hold their subnational governments responsible, because before now they say there is no cash. So I think that we'll see greater dynamics and attention shift to the states than this noise of 2027. For me, it's a given. There will be horse trading in 2027. Try as they may try, you know, there will just be noise. But I think and suspect that 2027 is pretty much set, because the political permutations are heavy. If you move the Southwest out of the presidency, it means that it loses from its own 4th term. You know, who in the South will want the rotation to go to the North? The North understands that if it moves back, it's just 4 years, you can wait. Now, where in the North does the presidency go to? Does it go now to the North Central, which is likely...
Or the Northeast.
Or the Northeast, you know. But the Northwest, you can see, is jostling. You can see the statements, because in the permutation post-2027, the Northwest also doesn't want to lose out completely. So some of the noise you are seeing from the Northwest is all political. And listen, there's political science as a course.
Yeah, we have just 30 seconds, so...
Okay. So the political mathematicians are acting out, so...
Yeah, for me, we're just looking at security implications because of all the... well, we'll discuss that much more later when we have a lot more time, because of the nuances of impact of what numbers can do to psyche and agitation. It plays a key role, and we can trace it back, way back to our history. But I must thank you, Onyekachi Adekoya, brilliant security as consultant. Thank you as always, and we'll continue to bring you to help us understand these things that mere mortals like us. Thank you.
Thank you. We should have at least 1 to 2 hours to discuss these matters.
Yeah, we will. Okay. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Bye-bye.
I'm Kayode Okikiolu. Sunrise Daily is next. Have a great day.